This is this video here. It goes with a a PowerPoint that I uploaded to as a file, but this would be this version will have me explaining things as reading the slides and adding an extra explanation thing. So I think you might be able to understand this one a little bit better. And the key here, this one's about paragraphs, how to construct paragraphs, what I'm looking for in the paragraphs in your play paper, and I'll also be looking for it in your story paper as well. And I call this kind of paragraph, what you see there on the screen is a paragraph symbol I, or what I like to call API, or otherwise known as announce paragraph issue. Okay, and what on earth could that possibly mean? All right, you writing teachers have talked to you often about paragraph thesis sentences. A thesis sentence can help a paragraph the same way an explicit expression of the main claim can help a paper. A paragraph thesis sentence helps the reader by making the point of the paragraph clear, so the reader will know how the information in the paragraph relates to the main claim and why that information is important. A paragraph thesis sentence can also help the writer to keep the paragraph focused and keep the paper well organized. In the past, teachers have told you to have a thesis sentence at the beginning of your paragraph. In fact, when you guys did the poetry paragraphs, I asked you to have the very first sentence of those paragraphs be a thesis sentence. But the paragraph thesis sentence does not have to be the first sentence in the paragraph, although in body paragraphs it should be in the first part of the paragraph. So what I'm looking for now is not a thesis sentence as the very first sentence in the paragraph, but it has to be in the first part of the paragraph, in the beginning part of the paragraph. With this new idea in mind, I'd like to present a model for paragraphs. And that's very key. When I say model, this is one way of doing paragraphs. I think it's a very useful way. I think it's a very helpful way for writing paragraphs for school, and not just for school, and also for business. But there are other things outside of those school and business that can call for different paragraphs. However, for school and business, I think this paragraph I'm about to present to you is a great way to go. And I call this model announce paragraph issue, and the symbol I use to refer to this model is API. On the online version of the class, I can't do the paragraph symbols so easily, so you won't see that one so much. Okay, with announce paragraph issue, the paragraph still has a, oops, sorry. Ooh, good grief. Sorry about that. The paragraph still has a thesis sentence, but it doesn't have to be the very first sentence of the paragraph. Depending on the size of the paragraph, the thesis sentence can be the first, second, or third sentence in the paragraph. With announce paragraph issue, the paragraph is divided into two parts. I will call the first part of the paragraph the issue, and the second part of the paragraph the discussion. Okay? The graph I like to use to illustrate this idea goes like this. So that outline you see there should be the outline of a paragraph. You see there's the indentation at the top and the indentation at the bottom. And there's the first part, the first sentences in the paragraph are the issue part, and the remaining sentences are the discussion. Okay? And this slide explains what I just said. All right. And the issue, let's get to the bottom there. The issue is where you present the focusing idea of the paragraph. The discussion portion is where you expand on the idea and make it clear and persuasive to your reader. Okay? An important point to show here is that the issue portion of the paragraph is smaller than the discussion portion. The issue portion could be one sentence, two sentences, or three sentences. It should not be more than three. The discussion portion should be 4 to 6 sentences long. Roughly speaking, the discussion should be twice as big as the issue portion. Okay, so if you have, and this is proportional, so it's like a 1 to 2 proportion. 1 to 3 sentences in the issue, 4 to 6 in the discussion. A 3-sentence issue should have a 6-sentence discussion. A one-sentence issue could have a four-sentence discussion, although you'd want those sentences to be kind of longish because you don't want your paragraph to look short. You want a certain sized paragraph for college writing. Okay? This proportion thing that I just described there corresponds to a common comment I make on student writing: fewer ideas, more explanation. Your paper should have fewer ideas and more explanation of those ideas. If the paragraph is making a supporting claim in the argument, that claim is expressed in the issue section. If there is a claim in the paragraph and if the issue portion of the paragraph is 2 or 3 sentences long, the claim should be the last sentence of the issue portion. Here's a diagram of how that would look. So the thesis, there's the last part of the issue. Notice what I've got there is the transition phrase or sentence is the very first part of the paragraph. I prefer to have the transition at the beginning of the paragraph as opposed to the end of the previous paragraph. I think that it helps you. I like to think of the indentation as like a turn signal on a car. The turn signal on the car is a physical signal of your intention to change the direction you're driving in. You do the signal first, and then you start to change direction. Okay? The paragraph indentation is a physical signal that the ideas in the argument, the ideas in the paper, are changing direction. Okay, so finish the previous idea in the previous paragraph, finish all the business of the previous paragraph, the discussion business of the previous paragraph, at the end of the previous paragraph. Indent, which signals to your reader that you're about to change the direction of your thought, and then with a transition phrase or signal, start to change the direction of that thought. Okay? Dividing the paragraph up into issue and discussion portions also corresponds to several pairs of ideas that, well, I haven't mentioned in this class, but I mentioned if you take my class in real life, you get this talked about several times. For example, I've said that claim plus evidence, that is in some ways the essence of argument writing. In terms of API, claim is the issue portion and evidence is in the discussion portion. Okay, so the API gives you a way to think of your paragraphs excuse me, in terms that claim, it shows you, it gives you that claim and evidence combination. And one part of the paragraph is the claim part, and the other part is the evidence part. So if you think of writing paragraphs like this, you'll automatically think of, you have to have a claim and then you have to have evidence. Here's a list of paired ideas and how they correspond to issue and discussion. Now, in this diagram, the things are side by side. Now, in your paper, it's a vertical setup, right? The issue's on top and the discussion's on the bottom. So, in your mind, rotate this 90 degrees to the right. But the issue has things like claims, ideas, opinions, principles, thesis sentences. The discussion part of the paragraph has evidence, explanation, persuasion, example, illustration. As you write about literature, quotation is a major part of the kind of evidence that you can use. Quotations go in the discussion part of the paragraph. The issue part of the paragraph should present the main idea for that paragraph in your own words. All quotations should appear in the discussion part of the paragraph, the evidence part of the paragraph. Okay, and the last thing is something I know I've made a note on a number of people's drafts. I've talked about umbrella sentences, and you can think of the thesis sentence as the umbrella sentence. It covers the whole paragraph. Okay, and you can think of the whole issue as a whole is like this. It's covering the whole paragraph, and everything in the discussion portion comes underneath the discussion portion, underneath the issue. So the issue covers everything in the discussion. Notice that helps you with an important thing in paragraphs: focus. Okay, if you think of the issue as establishing all the ideas for the paragraph, then the discussion can't help but be focused, because the discussion is going to stay under whatever ideas were brought out in the issue part. And then in that little umbrella diagram that I like to draw on whiteboards, Notice it's got the ferrule, that's the little pointy thing on top. It also is a nice way of thinking that the issue part of the paragraph is going to let you know what the point of the paragraph is. Okay, and it's going to it's sharp, so if you poke your reader with it, it gets their attention. Okay, all right, then that's the end of that presentation. If you have any questions on this, please message me and I'll give you some further explanation.